Well, hello, crafty friends. Are you ready to do some heat embossing? This is my Joyful Days 4-page workshop, and I won't necessarily do all of the stamping on camera, but what I really want to point out to you is the embossing that we're going to be doing. So I'm going to do some embossing along the top and bottom of both of the red pages using the Swirled Designs stamp set. I'm going to use this one right here on the red pages. And then I'm going to use this one here on these pages, which is the Misty Moonlight. So that's going to go through here. So I'm going to do the embossing part first to bring you up to speed on embossing. It's been a long time since we played with um, heat embossing. So you're going to need some embossing powder, a VersaMark ink pad, a heat gun, and then your stamp set on some blocks, and let's get going. So using the VersaMark ink, I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I want to stamp this down the edge. And it has, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but you can see a little bit, it looks like wet. So you can see where the stamp has already been, so you know how to line it up to the next one. And it's like 4 1/4 or 3 1/4 of the stamps across the page. And then we're going to take our gold embossing powder and just use a tray, a paper plate, something like that, just to catch all of your embossing powder that's not staying on the paper. So you can see some of it sticks to where the ink is. Again, because the ink is so wet, the VersaMark ink is a nice wet ink. So now here's the magic. You're going to use a heat tool and you're going to heat it until it turns shiny. So keep watching and you can see it transform right before your very eyes. Isn't that cool? It's magic. The end. It's just magic. I love it. So you're going to do this on four different times. Twice on this page. Just make sure you hit all of it so there's no powder that can brush off. So you're going to do that on 1, 2, 3, 4 red edges so that you get the tops and bottoms of both of those pages. So once your papers look like this, we can begin assembly. You've got this piece cut out. What I want you to do is put this frame, attach that with adhesive right to this piece here. That's going to become this when you trim that. And you want to take this piece here, and if you want to add the stars, that is this stamp right here. I'm going to leave it plain for the sake of the video, but if you want to add the stars first, do the stars. You're going to do a row of stars across your two. You've got two of the 1/2 inch strips, 1/2 inch by 12, and then just along the top of this one, you'll add those stars if you decide you want to add the stars. So this piece is going, make sure I get this right here. 1 3/4 inches down. So that's 1 3/4 inches down from the top of the page. Then you're going to put this strip same place, 1 3/4 inches. And actually, I'm gonna do this a little opposite and line it up so that it's going right across here. Make sure we're lining it up just right. Yep, it's 1 3/4. Perfect. All right, so this one doesn't really matter. You can make it a little bit more than 3, but then what we're going to do is add this card underneath it. And then we've got this piece that's going at 3 inches. It's really probably easier if I do it like this. This one's at 3 inches. And then this one's going to go at, works out to be kind of a weird number, 5 1/8 inches up from the bottom. So halfway between the 5 and the 5 1/4. And that would extend that line right there. Okay, so let me just pause my video and cut this out real quick so you can see how this is going to come together. Oh, actually, we don't need to do that yet. All right, so green piece. Ooh, been a while since I've done a video. All right, so this green piece here, what we're going to do is with our string, we're going to add a knot. And we want the knot to fall about 4 inches down, 3.5 to 4 inches down from the end of the string. And I'm going to just make a little mark of glue about 1/2 inch over from the edge to help tack down our string, our ribbon here. So I'm going to tack that down and attach it to the back again. So we've got our knot up closer to the top here. Then on this side, we're going to do the same thing, but this time we want 2 knots. One that's about 1 inch from where the edge is going to be. We need enough room to also tack it around the back side. So we've got 2 knots going over here. And I'm making them about 1 inch apart. Doesn't really matter if it's off a little bit. Okay, so then that one's going to tack down right here the same way we did that one. And once our ribbon is attached, then this piece is going butted up to this plaid piece here, evenly spaced top and bottom. So now it covers up that extra stuff that we kind of just let hang. All right, and then here you decide. I put 2 3x4s in a 4x4 well, but leave it blank so that you could maybe do a 6x4 and a 4x4 or a whole bunch of little 2x2s. Just depends on, how your page all goes. So this piece is going to get trimmed. I'm not going to do that right now in front of the camera. We grab a couple extra pieces. You've got these 2 like lime colored green in your kit. What you're going to do is attach that oval to one and the 2 glitter stars from the Ziploc bag. And all 4 of these are now going to get cut out. So go ahead and pause your video and use your scissors and trim those 4 pieces. So once you get all those cut out, also grab all your little stars from that bag that has the die cuts in it. All right, so this piece is going to overlap the green. We want it to butt right up against the edge of the red, and it's going to come up and kind of fill in that open gap there. And then your string can either overlap it or tuck behind it, depending on how your string falls. Now figure out where you want your stars to go. I'm going to put one over here kind of near my knot. One of the open ones is going to go up top here. Oh, didn't do a very good job taping and it ripped, but luckily I can just put it right back on there and no one will ever know. All right, I want one of these medium stars to be kind of a spacer for the tag opening up here. And then you can see here I used that stamp, this stamp right here to create this little image. Totally up to you if you decide you want to do it or not. We need one of our stars to come down kind of near the knots. So we'll put that right down here. You can put it on foam tape if you want. If you wanted it to stand out a little bit more. All right, and then we've got just a couple more stars here, and then a little guy right in here. These rest of these we'll use on the other page. Now, if you wanted to, you could add some photo mats or go ahead and just add your photos. And then I've added some bling. So you've got your bling that you can go ahead and add to finish that layout up. So that's one side done. This one's going to start the same way, but this time we're going to use 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches. So make sure you cut them just right. This time we've got 3 knots on one side and 1 on the other. Again, even spacing top and bottom with this. Ish. All right, then we've got that oval piece that we cut out. That's going to go, I'm going to put it underneath the ribbon and all the way against the edge, trying to keep it even. And then I've got a star up at the top. I did use that same stamp here over top of the Merry Christmas really lightly, second generation, so that it just barely highlights if you wanted to add that as well. All right, we've got our big star up here, and then go ahead and add all the rest of your little stars, all except this one right here is going to be the tree topper. This one to be right near my Christmas. I've got that open star that's going to go down here, and then the itty bitty way up here. Ooh. Add your bling as desired. And then you've got one more card in this set, and you're just going to trim that out to make that tree. And then the star just goes at the top of the tree. Fun. All right, let's move on to our next set of pages for the Joyful Days 4-page. All right, with this one, first thing we're going to do, find that 4x6 that has the trees, and we want to cut that at 3 inches. And we're going to put this one on this page that has Joyful Days, and this one on the one that doesn't have Joyful Days. All right, so this one's Joyful Days. This is going 2 1/4 inches up from the bottom. 2 1/4. Okay. Then we've got those white pieces that we're going to do ribbon to, just like we did the ribbon before. One thing to make sure you note is this side, this ribbon has one side that's more gold and one side that's more green. It doesn't matter which one you decide to do, but make sure you're consistent with it so that when you're folding and knotting, you make sure that that side is always going to be the side that's on the front of the ribbon. So I'm doing the green, the more green side. So I'm just being very careful before I pull my knots tight to make sure I know which side is green, which side's gold, and which one I want to be face up. So I've got that one there. Now I want this one to come down in here. And just making sure I'm putting the gold side of the ribbon down and the green side showing. All right, so we've got that one done. And because I've got this in front of me, I'm just going to go ahead and tape this right down. This is going again, even spaced top and bottom. So you want 3/4 of an inch on the top, 3/4 of an inch on the bottom. And then just kind of give a little tuck, make sure your ribbons are straight. Again, we're not going to add the photo mats right now because we don't really need to until you know what pictures you're using. Let's grab a couple more pieces of paper. All right, so we're going to do the same thing we did on the last set of pages where we add embellishments to these pieces of paper and cut them out. So these two frames, this more it's more square than rectangle. This one's way more rectangle. Longer one. The longer one goes on the more white piece, and this one you want to have lots of the trees showing. Okay. Then your two bigger diamonds and the hexagon go on the green, and your three smaller diamonds all go on that piece. And there's a very little wiggle room on these. They butt right up to each other. So be very mindful of that when you tape them down, but then go ahead and cut all these pieces out. And once you get all those cut out, here's all the pieces that you'll end up with. We need that one of these, and two of these. The rest of them we'll save for the other side. One of them is just going to go right down here in this Joyful Days corner down here. Then we've got our frame that's going to tuck underneath and go all the way against the edge, right like that. This diamond, the bigger diamond, is going to come down onto this white piece. And then we want this other hexagon to kind of, it's going to go right in here. We don't want to press yet because we're going to grab that red piece. So you've got two of these big ones that are stuck together. So you'll just want to pull all the guts out, make sure that that sticks real good. Okay. So this is coming right down in here, and then we'll use the diamond to cover up just a portion of it. Okay, and then bling, 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 wherever you want to bling. And then we've got a smaller flower. So again, there's two stuck together. Make sure you separate them. I'm going to use one of these that's going to kind of tuck behind here. And then I'm going to use just one of these gutted pieces to extend that piece right there. Okay, now what we didn't do is emboss. So if you wanted to have all that embossing, you're going to do the embossing part first. For the sake of the video, I already showed you embossing. You got it. You know how to do it. You'll add those before you add any of your extra embellishments. But beyond the bling, oh, and another thing, let me bring this up close. I did use that splatter paint stamp, this one right here, in the Misty Moonlight here, up here, and up here, just for some extra color. And then here I did it in second generation on that piece. If you wanted to, a little extra something. All right, let's move over to our other page. This is our last one. This one's starting the same way. Your pieces are going 2 1/4 inches up from the bottom. And then that piece is going to go in the middle there, again, watching as you're adding your knots to keep whatever color, if you decide to go with the more gold that I have on the back or the green that I have on the front. Just make sure you're consistent. We've got this hexagon that's going to come down in this corner, and you want to push that into this ribbon so that it's lining right up there. with that ribbon. Then we're going to take our flower, let me add some tape to it. And I want that flower to, again, come from underneath that ribbon. And a picture will end up going right here. So it'll cover up the bottom of that cluster that we've created. All right, then we've got this fun piece that's got the, excuse me, those trees on it. If you want to use foam tape, go ahead and use foam tape on that. And then we've got one that's going to overlap this corner. Our big green one is going to tuck down behind that just a little bit, and I want it to be behind the ribbon. Actually, maybe I won't. Yeah. I'm going to keep it out from underneath there. Okay, and then same thing, we've got the two different pieces. So we're using the one that's got an open and a closed flower right in here. And then we'll use just one of the inside pieces to go right in there. Finish that off. Again, if you wanted to do the embossing, we've got splatter paint, the lighter splatter here in the second generation. Come down in here and then add all your bling. But that is my Joyful Days 4-page workshop featuring the embossing. Heat embossing. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment. Let me know if you'd like one of these kits. I do believe that I have 2 of them left. Thanks for watching, friends.